What's up, everybody? Welcome to Podcast Now. I'm Alex, and in this video, I want to go over every game coming out in the second half of the year that I'm excited for to some degree or another, and there is a boatload of games primarily in September, October. That's a big chunk of it, but we're going to go through every single one, and let's go through it just in order of release. So starting in July, right, we're starting the second half of the year. Oxenfree 2. Oxenfree 2 to me is the first big game of July. Now, I don't think it's going to sell all that well. I noticed there is a complete lack of interest, but the first game is one of my favorite games of all time. This game, I see no reason why it should falter. High expectations for sure, but I think this game is going to be incredibly good, and I absolutely cannot wait for it. Another one that I would like to keep an eye on is Disney Illusion Island. So this comes out at the 28th of July. Small, little-ish game. It's a Metroidvania kind of game, but it's primarily just the platforming elements. In fact, I don't think there's any combat in this game at all. So, maybe a younger audience, but they have said themselves that the game is kind of made for everybody. You can play it cooperatively with up to 4 players. So it's probably going to be, I would say, a pretty safe bet that it'll be solid, and then maybe it can become better than solid. Maybe it'll be a little bit worse, but it's a game that I'm going to definitely be keeping my eyes on whether or not I'm getting it day one. One game that I don't know if it's going to go under the radar, but an actual follower of mine sent this my way. It's called Stray Gods, the role-playing musical, and the cast is stacked. You got Laura Bailey, you got Troy Baker, you got Felicia Day, you got Ashley Johnson. It looks honestly incredible. I'll let you guys just kind of, I think actually just watching the trailer on its own is probably the best way to experience what this game is going to be. It's kind of like a murder mystery-like thing. Your main character is accused of murdering, I believe, Ashley Johnson's character in it. You use music to help you out, or music is like the main gameplay focus. Looks really, really cool. Comes out across all of the consoles, PlayStation, Xbox, Switch, and PC, and comes out August 3rd. So this is one I think, again, people are going to completely look past, but this looks rather cool. Next up is the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, which releases on August 18th. I played the closed technical test. I thought this game was awesome. It's a little Dead by Daylight-y. It's a little Friday the 13th, but I actually think it's extremely, extremely good. Visually, it looks good. Technically, it held up in terms of like the actual tech test, but it's also just a blast. It's a bit hard playing as the victims, I believe is what they call them, because you probably do expect these people to get taken out, but it's a very, very fun game, especially when people are working together, at least in what we played of the tech test. And when the game comes out, it's definitely going to be one that I play a boatload. It also comes out on Game Pass, so it's on, the PlayStations, the Xboxes of the world, but it's also on Game Pass. I think that'll be a huge, huge help for it. And then just a few days later, on the 22nd, is Immortals of Avium. So this was the game supposed to come out in July, got pushed. I'm kind of a fan of this game. I don't know if I'll get it now because it's 4 days after Texas Chainsaw, but, Ghostwire Tokyo-like, Doom-like. Now, will it be as good as Doom? I mean, is any game as good as Doom? The answer is probably no, but it looks fun. It looks honestly pretty fun, and for a game that's still, in a safe zone, it doesn't get too close to Starfield, game you can kind of pick up, story-driven single-player game. Hopefully it's good. I'm hoping it's good. But then just a few days later, 3 days later, is Armored Core 6. This is one I'm keeping an eye on. I've never been an Armored Core fan. I did play one of them back in the day. I have no idea which one, but I remember I had like the PC, like the box thing, where they would come with the discs inside them, and I didn't really like it, but I did own it. I know that for a fact, and I don't even know if I still have it. But you know what? This is a different era of From Software. I might give it a try just because it's From Software. Honestly, don't know much more about it than that, but I'll be keeping my eye on it. Now we skip ahead till September. September 6th is the big one, Starfield. Well, first of many big ones, I'd honestly argue. I'm not going to go too deep into Starfield because I think we all know about Starfield to some degree. This is the big one. This is one that's going to really, I think, help the Xbox ecosystem as long as it's good. Everything looks good so far. To me, it's all about coming out and just running well on day one. Next up on September 14th, we have the Crew Motorfest. So this one looks interesting. I actually played the very first Crew game, and I didn't mind it at all. Now, I'm not a racing kind of guy, but, what they did with the Crew 1, and I never actually played the Crew 2, so I don't know much about what they did in the second game, but these games have been, I would say, pretty well received, at least to get, more than one of them. It's, again, going to be one that I kind of keep an eye on. Maybe it'll get me into it, but you know what? I got to be real with myself, and if you do it just a week after, I guess, Starfield, the odds wouldn't look good for me to get it day one, but it is something I'm going to be keeping my eye on. And then we have September 19th, which is a gigantic day, because we got two big ones. Lies of P, which is the, From Software-like game. Played the demo, thought it was actually really, really good. That's on Game Pass, so maybe that'll help it out, right? Because, comes out same day as Mortal Kombat, comes out a week and a half after Starfield. It's a tough stretch of games, but it is what it is. So you got Lies of P, and then again, you got Mortal Kombat 1, which looks great. I didn't get into the tech test, stress test, whatever it was called for Mortal Kombat, but it looks fantastic. I liked the last one. I'm not a huge fighting guy, but actually Mortal Kombat is the fighting game that I've been able to play the most historically. I've played the most Mortal Kombats versus, say, Street Fighter, or Tekken, or Soul Calibur, so I am very much looking forward to this one. And then 2 days later, you got another one, Payday 3. Payday 2 I love. I love Payday 2. Payday 3, hoping it's good. The word on the street sounds like it's pretty okay from everything that we've seen. I'm liking it. I have no reason to really doubt it all that much. Again, it's just going to be when it releases. Am I going to actually get a chance to play this game? But I am very, very excited for it. Okay, then on September 27th, we have the Phantom Liberty DLC to Cyberpunk. Now, I'll spend very little time on this just because Cyberpunk 2077 didn't get me. Now, I only played about maybe 6-7 hours when it first came out. It actually wasn't the glitches and stuff that got me. It was actually just the content itself. I just didn't feel as connected to it as I thought I would compared to, say, Witcher. But I've always wanted to go back. I've been saying I'll go back for like a year. DLC comes out. They talk about even the free side of the DLC, overhauling all of this basic game stuff, right? So I feel like the best time to go back into Cyberpunk will be with this DLC, just for the quality of life things. And then also the DLC has, extra stuff in it. So I'm looking forward to what people say about it. I'll be keeping an eye on it. I got to beat the base game first, or I want to try the base game again first, and then I would think about the DLC. And then one other game I want to kind of highlight. Now, the time of recording this, it's possible it changes over time, but RoboCop Rogue City. It's supposed to come out in September, but it doesn't have a date. Maybe it gets pushed to October. Maybe it does come out in September, but it's a game I wanted to kind of focus on just for a second or two. Game looks good. Game looks kind of surprisingly good. Now, don't get it confused for this high octane, AAA game. This is very much like a double A kind of thing, but as long as they kind of lean into making it feel like RoboCop, which from the previews, some people that have played it, from just looking at it, it does seem like it's keeping that, that feeling to it. So as long as it does that, it doesn't have to be the most high production thing. I think it could still be rather good. Okay, then we get to October, starting with October 6th, Detective Pikachu returns. By the way, there's some stupid copyright stuff that goes on with Detective Pikachu, so you're not going to see any visuals of it. I'll probably show Pokemon instead. Game looks good. I've never actually played the original Detective Pikachu, watched the movie, but I never played the original, so this is one that I'm either going to get for my daughter and watch her play it, or I'll also play it, I guess, myself. But it's kind of shocking. I kind of forgot that it was even announced years and years and years ago, so it's good to see it, finally release. And then you got Forza Motorsport on the 10th. So I played the last Forza Horizon game. I actually really liked it. Again, not really into car stuff, the Gran Turismos of the world, very hard for me to get into. I got into the last Forza Horizon game okay, didn't play it all that much, but again, Game Pass, that'll help it out. Again, the release is a very bad time, but this is for a specific group of people, right? People that are going to get this game are going to get it. It looks phenomenal. It looks absolutely incredible, at least visually, and I think the game is actually going to be rather good as well. So again, something to keep an eye on. 2 days after that, Assassin's Creed Mirage, the game to kind of unite the old fans with the new fans, or at least that was the pitch, right? We'll have to see how that actually goes, because I have seen comments saying, well, Alex, it seems like it's probably just going to be more of the newer stuff, and they're saying it's the old stuff. Well, we'll see. We'll see how it goes when it releases. I'm excited. I'm genuinely, I guess I've gotten excited for Odyssey and Valhalla, but this is probably the most excited I've been for an Assassin's Creed game since Origins, or since maybe even before then. Just because of kind of condensing it down, I guess. I'm going to trust them to a degree. And I mean, they've said multiple things about the map size and focusing on the stealth versus the combat. I do think this is going to be a smaller scaled game, and I think that's kind of what Assassin's Creed needs right now. So I feel pretty okay about it. But 5 days after this is, to me, one of the biggest games of the entire fall that I do think is actually going to get slept on, and I'm kind of getting worried about it in terms of sales. Alan Wake 2. So to me, this could be the best game. I love what we've seen. I love Alan Wake. I think the people that are going to get this game are going to get it. I don't think anything will change that with those people. I'm just worried about, can it get like a big audience, because I think it deserves a big audience, but I don't know with what we're going to get to. Obviously Spider-Man, right? And even Mario, and you have Assassin's Creed before it. It is in a very tight window. That's scary to me. As long as we get, if they want to do a trilogy, it takes another 15 years or whatever, that's fine. But no, I mean, this game looks incredible, and this is the game for me, besides Spider-Man, I would say, of October. But then just a few days later, on the 19th, we got Hot Wheels Unleashed 2. Wanted to give this a shout out because the first game kind of took the world by storm. I have never played it. I've never played the first one, but maybe I should, especially for the second one. Now, we haven't seen much, at least again at the time I'm recording this, for Hot Wheels 2. But again, the first one I think has given people a lot of goodwill, right? It's kind of put that out into the world. So I think it, again, caught people by surprise. I think it did much better than they ever thought it would do. Did it need a second game so quickly? Probably not, but here we are, and we'll see how it does. And then one day later, we have the battle, honestly, maybe of like a lifetime, and one that I don't think anybody on planet Earth saw coming: Marvel's Spider-Man 2 on just PS5, and then Super Mario Bros. Wonder, which came out of left field for, being the first side-scrolling, platforming Mario game in a very, very long time. And here we go. It's the two titans going at it, and I think both of them are honestly going to be absolutely incredible. Those two games with Alan Wake, I think, is going to make October elite just on their own, in my opinion. But no, I'm going to try to get both. I'm going to talk about them together because I think there's been enough said about both of them separate. Spider-Man 1, loved it so much. Spider-Man 2, it probably is my most anticipated game of the entire fall. And then Mario looks insanely good. I was pitching it to my daughter without showing her the trailer. I was like, you turn into an elephant and all this stuff. It just looks so good. So I'll be playing both of them. Probably not the same day, but I will be getting both of them. And then 4 days later, it doesn't stop. City Skylines 2, which the thing for that game is it's a very specific kind of game, right? Very genre specific. So I think that'll help it stand out. Also, the first one is one of the best city sims ever created. And I think people have known that and felt that since it really, and I think 2016, maybe 2017. It's been a long time since the first game came out. But also on the same day is the Metal Gear Solid Master Collection Volume 1. So there's your old Metal Gear. Now remember, 3's getting the remake, and that's all separate, but this is that collection of the first three. So man, that day is packed. And then one day later, you got the Alone in the Dark remake, which looks really good. Again, kind of I don't know if I would call it a AAA game. I don't even know if it needs to be a AAA game. It looks really cool. I haven't played the demo yet, actually, so maybe I should do that. This is a game that I think could get buried just because we just went through like 10 games right before it, and I don't know if people would be willing to do this, but also comes out right before Halloween, right? So like that's a huge one, and that could honestly help it. Okay, now jumping to November, we got Star Ocean, the second story R on the 2nd. I want to throw this in here because this game looks phenomenal. This is a game that almost sells itself to me just based off the trailer, just based off how it looks. I've never played any of the Star Ocean games. I have people in the community that really have liked them and have talked them up, so I feel pretty okay if I were to jump into this. I think I would like it. Would I get it that day? Probably not, just because, we have been destroyed at this point. Our wallets have been emptied with September and October, but this is a game I'm going to get eventually. Then on the 9th, this is a game that I cannot skip. Like a Dragon Gaiden, The Man Who Erased His Name, Kiryu is coming back, and I cannot wait for it. I've been playing all the Yakuza games. I've actually been doing reviews of them on my third channel podcast now, Back to the Past, my retrospective channel. I love this series so much. It took me forever to get into the series. I actually bought 6 day one when it first came out, and I played it very, very little, and I just never touched it again. I think I actually gave it, traded it into GameStop. That was a stupid idea. But since then, and only I think in this year, I played 0 all the way, 0 through 5 at this point, and then I just got to do 6. I'll try 7, but I think 6 is probably okay for this game coming out. Cannot wait. This is the big game to me. This is the big game in November. I don't think it's going to be like that for everybody. Then on the 17th, we have, I don't know if you'd call them two titans, but you do have two things. You have Persona 5 Tactica, which, hey, more Persona 5 in any capacity, considering you get to bring back that cast, I am in love with. I love the cast of Persona 5 so much. Base game, Strikers, I thought was incredible, and then now Tactica. I'm all in, and on Game Pass, so that's a fantastic thing. And then Super Mario RPG, the remake of that. I have known about this game for maybe like a month and a half. Like, I knew that there was. Before that, I didn't even know this game existed back in the day. I know it because of Mr. Maddie Plays' channel, Retro Rebound. That's the only reason I know it. Is it a game, again, I'll get that day? Probably not, because I'll be doing Persona, but it is definitely one that looks fantastic. The original looked fantastic, so I think this one will also be good. And then rounding it out, the final game. I don't even know how many games this is. I'll count it, I'm sure, and put it in the title, but Avatar Frontiers of Pandora on December 7th. This game is, okay, I'm getting this game because it's coming out in December. I'm getting this game because it comes out where no other game is coming out around it. I'm also getting this game because watching back the Ubisoft Forward stuff looked a lot better to me than when I watched it in the live stream. Maybe it was better quality. Maybe I was just kind of going into it with a clean slate. It looks pretty good. I wouldn't say it looks amazing. I wouldn't say it looks bad. It looks a bit like Far Cry and Avatar. I'm not the biggest Avatar fan. Like, I like the first movie. I actually have still not seen the second movie yet. I'll probably change that eventually. But it's a game that I want to like, and it's a game I want to give a chance to. And, you know, being co-op, that's a big one as well. Coming out in December where there's no other game. Like, this is it, you know, until January when whatever games come out then come out. So I think that's going to help this game out quite a bit. So now to end the video, well, number one, obviously I skipped some stuff, right? Like Pikmin 4, say. Like, there's a couple of them that I just skipped by. These were the ones that interest me the most. Secondly, though, games that, and I'm recording this on June 25th, okay? I'll give you the behind the scenes. On June 25th, if a game doesn't have, like, that fall thing, so even, like, the Dark Pictures anthology, right, the next one, Directive 8020, that should come out this fall. You don't know that 100%. It could get delayed. Maybe by the time the video comes up, though, it does have a date. But, like, that's what I'm excited for. So any of those kind of games are also obviously not on this list. So there you go. Every game that I'm looking forward to, my wallet's going to be empty. I'm going to have to be very specific and picky on which games I choose to play this fall. But I'm excited. I'm really excited for the fall. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. Make sure you're subscribed, bell icon turned on, and I'll see you all on the next one.